Okay, so we are back with the second half of this tiebreaker round. Mexico and Georgetown Day. The winner of this will advance to the top bracket, again on a half packet. Let's do a quick buzzer check.
Done. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, is everyone ready?
Yep.
All right, here's toss one. This author was called a latter-day Scarlett O'Hara and a neurasthenic Cher in a Barbara Grizzuti Harrison essay subtitled Only Disconnect. In an essay subtitled A Love Story, this author described how she longed to be taken to the bend in the river where the cottonwoods grow by the actor John Wayne. Another essay by this author ends with a vignette about a 5-year-old girl named Susan who is given acid and peyote by her mother. That essay, which titles a 1968 collection by this author, begins with the line, "The center was not holding," and it chronicles the lives of hippies.
Didion.
That's right, for 10.
Yeah.
Bonus. Albert Harani's history of this ethnic group examines how their larger empires became unstable because of a diffusion of a sense of familial loyalty called Asabaya. For 10 points each, name this ethnic group whose Abbasid caliphate coincided with the Islamic Golden Age.
Persian.
Arabs. Harani adapted the idea of Asabiya from the writings of this 14th century Arab scholar whose Muqaddimah pioneered historiography and argued for an early version of the Laffer curve. Answer? Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun's cyclical view of history was developed a century before Niccolò Machiavelli made a similar argument in this treatise titled for a Roman historian.
Discourses on Livy.
That's right for 10. Toss 2. In a parable, this man claims that a resurrected man couldn't sway someone who ignores Moses and the prophets. Romans chapter 4 states that this man considered himself as good as dead due to his age. In John chapter 8, Jesus rebuts a critique from the Pharisees that he is too young to have seen this man by declaring, "Before this man was, I am." Hebrews chapter 11 says this man didn't know where he was going when he left his homeland at God's command. 3 times the New Testament quotes Genesis chapter 15 verse 6 that this man believed God and it was counted to him as righteousness while seeking a male heir. For 10 points,
Abraham.
that's right.
Yes.
10 and bonus. The first opera by Neapolitan composer Leonardo Vinci is about a man who fakes having this condition. For 10 points each, name this condition developed by Andrea Bocelli after being hit with a soccer ball. Audio descriptions help audience members with this condition enjoy opera.
Deafness.
Yeah.
Being deaf.
Wait, blindness?
Answer?
Blindness.
Yes. In this opera, the monk Heman tells the title character the story of a blind man who regains his sight. Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov revised this opera's coronation scene.
This Marriage of Figaro, is that?
A triad.
Marriage of Figaro?
Reports Godunov. In an opera by this composer, Princess Iolanta's father tries to prevent her from learning that she is blind, but she gains the ability to see after learning the truth. This composer also wrote The Queen of Spades. Answer?
Rossini.
Tchaikovsky, 10 points.
Oh.
Toss up 3. The square root of I over A gives a form of this quantity that conserves moment of inertia when used to substitute a solid with a point mass. A plane wave is parameterized by time and wave vector dotted with this quantity. This quantity crossed with a derivative term defines the fictitious Euler force.
Angular momentum.
Nope. In real space, the eigenfunctions of this quantity's operator are Dirac deltas. By definition, the difference in this quantity for any pair of particles is constant in a rigid body. A point mass contributes its mass times this quantity squared to the moment of inertia. Angular momentum equals this quantity crossed with linear momentum. For 10 points, name this quantity the difference between 2 points in space.
Like a radius between them. Like 1/2 mr squared. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
What was the actual answer?
Displacement radius was in there. Just making sure that your additional information was Correct. Bonus. Batteries that use this metal as the charge carrier instead of lithium are cheap because their cathodes can use iron instead of copper or cobalt for 10 points each. Name this alkali metal that's also cheaper than lithium because it can be extracted from seawater.
Sodium.
Sodium.
Sodium batteries can use iron because sodium has a larger value for this quantity than lithium. This quantity decreases from left to right across a period, especially for elements in the F block.
Electronegativity.
Yeah, I think so. Electronegativity.
Radius. The best cathodes place sodium ions at these sites in the lattice. A crystalline inclusion places an atom at one of these normally unoccupied sites between the lattice points.
No, it's a node and a. I have no idea.
Answer?
Node.
Node.
These are crystal interstices. 10 points. Toss 4. The Zoria sisters watch over one of these animals restrained by an iron chain in the Little Dipper because its release portends the world's end. In various Scandinavian tales, foreign rulers made these animals the kings of their defeated enemies. The red-eyed shuck and barghest are two of these animals that portend death within a year and are colored black in British folklore. A hero with a geas is forced to break a taboo of eating this animal's meat.
Dog.
That's right.
Nice.
10 points. Bonus, the protagonist of a novel falls in love with a character who has a wrapping cloth with these animals on it. For 10 points each, name these animals. The title, a novel in which Kikuji has an affair with both Miss Inamura and her daughter.
Bird.
Prompt.
Crane.
Yes. Thousand Cranes is by this Japanese author of The Dancing Girl of Izu and Snow Country.
Sadako.
Kawabata. A semi-autobiographical non-avian protagonist named Bird appears in this Kenzaburo Oe novel in which he struggles to balance his desire to visit Africa with taking care of his mentally disabled son.
A personal matter.
That's 20. That's 5. Special long-distance operations in these general locations were conducted by the LRDG during a war without hate. Huge numbers of tanks clashed at one of these general locations in the Battle of Norfolk, also called Fight Night. In another war largely fought in one of these general locations, troops under General Idris Dibé successfully used hit-and-run tactics with Toyota trucks.
Desert.
That's right, for 10. Bonus. Benjamin Franklin claimed that these birds would not hesitate to attack a grenadier of the British Guards compared to the bad moral character of the bald eagle. For 10 points each, name these birds whose serving at the first Thanksgiving was likely conflated with William Bradford's Journal on Plymouth Wildlife.
Turkey.
Yes. This ornithologist claimed that he spent 16 days from dawn to dark drawing wild turkeys for his collection Birds of America.
Audubon.
Yes. This author wrote, "It has not arrived" when his Christmas turkey was lost in a train fire. During an 1842 trip to America, this author bemoaned rip-offs caused by poor copyright law.
Vorshop, perhaps?
No.
Author, though. Author of...
Answer?
Wild.
Charles Dickens.
Oh, it's
I was thinking all along. Okay.
That's 20 points. Toss up 6.
No, it's all good.
I guess we'll do a score check after the half. So it's 50 for Mexico, 70 for Georgetown Day.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Toss 6. Michelangelo. Wow, that was a great
Just read the answer.
play on my part. So you guys missed that toss up on Michelangelo. We'll read a replacement for me not being so silly this time. Here is your replacement toss up. In modern times, a ritual during these events is the most common situation where a drink composed of yogurt, honey, and clarified butter is symbolically offered. In one variation of these events, a meti is placed on the second toe while the foot rests on the ami grindstone. Observers in these events may demand compensation after robbing a man of his shoes during...
Wedding.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
For power. Sorry. All right, bonus. Max Mueller outlined the concepts of cathenotheism to describe how this text would praise various deities as the one supreme god, one after another, for 10 points each. Agni and Indra are among the dedicatees of what's oldest Vedic text, which is titled for a 3-letter word meaning praise. Answer?
No.
This is Rig Veda. The Rig Veda's 10 cycles of hymns are named for this circular shape as readers start from the outer rim of understanding before moving to the center. Colored sand is used to create these shapes in Tibet.
Is that what it was?
Answer?
Mandala.
Yes. The last mandala of the Rig Veda discusses how the Varnas originated from the body of this cosmic man, whose eponymous concept contrasts with the Praktiri and Yoga. Answer?
Rama.
Purusha. Yeah. All right. Toss up. A George Cook painting depicts this person at the Hanover County Courthouse arguing against the overturning of the Two-Penny Acts. This person's grandson, William Wirt, transcribed many of this man's speeches, including one in which he asked, "What is it that the gentlemen wish?" This man led a militia demanding reparations be paid for gunpowder seized by Lord Dunmore.
Henry.
Yes, that's power. Okay, here's your bonus. Paul Legault wrote a 2012 reader by translating all 1,789 poems by this poet from English into English for 10 points each. What poet's works include Because I Could Not Stop for Death?
Dickinson.
Yes. A Dickinson poem states that this concept sings the tune without words and it never asked a crumb of me.
Hope.
Yes. Another Legault collection is framed as a sequel to this New York School's poet collection's lunch poems. This MoMA curator wrote Why I'm Not a Painter.
I'm not a painter.
Answer?
No.
Smith.
Frank O'Hara. For 20. All right, toss up number 8. In the alpha assay, an excited state of this molecule with the term symbol 1 delta carries energy between photosensitizing donors and acceptors. Because this molecule's ground state has 2 degenerate half-filled pi star orbitals, only MO theory can predict that it reacts as a diradical. NMR samples are degassed to remove this strongly paramagnetic contaminant. Beta-carotene protects against the singlet form of this molecule, one of the reactive species named for it. This molecule in water form when hydrogen peroxide disproportionates. This molecule is the terminal electron and proton acceptor in photosynthesis, which reduces it to water. For enough points, name this elemental gas required for combustion.
Hydrogen gas.
No.
O2.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Bonus. Answer the following about coping mechanisms for 10 points each. Shelley Taylor coined tend and befriend to describe a coping mechanism by which humans care for their kids and find social groups, which is contrasted with this hyper-aroused reaction in which humans face their stressor head-on or escape.
Fight or flight. That's what
Fight or flight.
Yes. Avoidance as a coping mechanism is one of these negative influences that explains someone's poor future behavior. These influences, which include family violence and crime, are contrasted with protective factors.
Trauma.
These are risk factors. Coping mechanisms are taught in this application-based field whose roles include counseling, crisis intervention, and case management.
Yeah, it's their second. It's psychiatry.
Answer?
Psychiatry.
This is social work. 10 points. Toss up 9. This adjective is in the title of the second and later editions of a Su Tong novel that describes the rival mistresses Swallow, Coral, and Lotus. In a novel with this adjective in its title, the narrator's grandmother is shot when she brings lunch to some workers and gets caught in an ambush. A crimson pearl flower reincarnates as a girl obliged to shed tears for the protagonist.
Red.
Yes, that's power. Bonus, the change in free energy A can equal the work done on the system W in processes with this property because they are quasi-static for 10 points each. Name this thermodynamic property of processes that can establish dynamic equilibrium. Detailed balance implies that this property holds microscopically.
Conservation of mass.
It's reversible. For a certain function f of A equals this function of f of W for any process. This function is denoted with angle brackets in reference to an analogous function on quantum mechanical operators. Answer?
Broadcast.
Average. The comparison of A and W is the Jarnitsky equality, which divides A and W by this quantity. This quantity must be greater than absolute zero.
Temperature. Yeah.
Temperature.
10.
Good.
And all right, this is toss up 10, the final one. A Stanford startup co-founded by James Monsees helped increase consumption of this drug in the 2010s. Sweden is the only EU country to distribute this drug via a product called snooze. A 2024 op-ed by Emily Dreyfus warning of the dangers of new devices for delivering this drug introduced many New York Times readers to the term upper decky. An influencer named Freezer Tarps has proclaimed himself the mayor of Zimbabwe, a reference to a popular brand of salt-filled...
Nicotine.
That's right for 10. Bonus. Bertha Lutz led a successful push for women's suffrage under this leader. For 10 points each, name this Brazilian dictator who stifled the power of coffee and milk era oligarchs after establishing the Estado Novo in 1937.
Farkas.
Yes. Lutz and Minerva Bernardino were responsible for adding the phrase equal rights of men and women to this document. Jan Smuts originally drafted the opening of this document, whose purpose is to save succeeding generations from the scourge of war.
Kellogg Brand Pact?
Kellogg Brand Act.
That's the UN Charter. When she wasn't engaged in activism, Lutz was researching these animals. Amazonian tribes use the toxins from these animals to make medicinal combo or as poison on darts.
Frogs.
Yes, that is right for 20. And that makes the final score Mexico 130, Georgetown Day 140. So, game everyone.